All right, so now what we're going to do is create a ruffle, and we can do this by just gathering it in our sewing machine. And by the way, there's a couple different ways to talk about gathering. Some people call it gathering, some people call it ruching, and some people call it shirring. And all of those terms are accurate, and you might use them interchangeably to refer to any kind of time that a material is bunched together or gathered at a seam. But we're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and we're going to take it to the machine right now. It's adjusted to a regular stitch, which is how we're going to start out because we want to reinforce one end of the ruching. So I'm going to run it through a couple stitches, go back a couple stitches, go forward again a couple stitches, and then what I'm going to do is adjust the length of the stitch to its maximum stitch. Some of you guys might even have a shirring, a gathering foot or a shirring stitch altogether, but this is even if you have the most basic machine that's some, antiquated piece that you got from your mom or your grandma. All right, now we're ready to ruche. So the most important thing is when we're running this through the machine, not to pull it from the other end. That is going to take all the gathering out. So let it go, girl. Just let it gather. All right, so here we go. Following still that 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you'll notice it'll start to create a little bit of a gather. If it doesn't, don't worry about it because what we're going to do is bunch it up towards the end. But you'll notice at least a little bit of looseness that's starting to form, so it's not a perfectly flat seam. And then pull it out, leaving a little bit of a tail here. And what you do now that we have this stitch, and it's not very gathered at all, is it? You're going to take one end of it, and you're going to start just simply pulling. And the way it doesn't pull out is the fact that we did that very small stitch at the beginning, right over here, and that we backtracked. So that reinforced it right at the edge. And we're going to gather over here. So you keep gathering it till the approximate length. I would refer to your pattern or a ruler at this point. And pull that out and make sure it's about the same length, this is perfect. And if it bunches in one area and it's pretty flat in the next, it doesn't matter at this point. Right now you just want to get the length of where the ruffle is supposed to reach, and it's supposed to reach from edge to edge. A little bit less because we have seam allowance, but if it goes over, it doesn't matter. It'll get covered by seam allowance as well. And what I'm doing right now is knotting one end of it so that it can't pull out. Then you can adjust it a little bit, adjust the shirring so that all the gathering is not bunched up towards the ends or the middle or anywhere else. It's actually spreads throughout the stitch like so. And what I sometimes suggest is for somebody to take it through the machine again. Somebody, well, that would be you, unless you have like a little man that does ruching for you. And we're going to run it through the machine at a regular stitch length. So I'm going to about like a 3 on the Bernina here. And we're just going to go again over the same seam. This might seem a little bit redundant to you, but basically what it is once you have those gathers where you like it, this reinforces that stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch over the old stitch. And here we go. This stuff is not moving anywhere. Now this is not moving at all. The ruching won't move at all. It's staying in its place, which is exactly what you want, is a nice reinforced ruffle.